it came to finally getting my finances on track, there is one thing that was more valuable than anything else. For a really long time, I shunned the idea of frugal living because I associated it with austerity and deprivation. That mindset shift is really hard to do when people talk about the importance of distinguishing between your wants and needs. And then you start to think things like, well, I don't need to have a steak for dinner tonight, I could have soup. But it's Friday night and I don't want soup. I would really like to have a steak. And I think in that respect, frugality can feel like it's a little bit judgmental. It can feel like you need to reject all elements of consumerism in order to succeed at frugality and being good with your money. And if you've spent money on anything that wasn't an essential, then it can only mean that you failed at a frugal life. And who wants a life where you can never have any fun or steak? And then what I realized with frugality, at least for me anyway, is that it isn't about stripping your life right down to the bare bones and then only taking joy from the increase in your net worth. It's about doing without stuff that I don't really care that much about in order to splash out on the things that really matter to me. Let me explain exactly what I mean about this mindset shift. And in order to do that, I'm gonna have to do a fashion montage. These dresses are all from the same brand. They're vaguely different designs, but the principle is the same in all of them. They're all maxi dresses with an animal print. These each cost between 90 and 100 pounds. So let's call this like 400 pounds worth of dresses right here. 4 dresses, very similar. Arguably one is a bit more summery than some of the others, but you see what I'm getting at. Now in the grand scheme of things, 400 pounds isn't a lot of money. But it's what these dresses represent about what my spending mindset was at that time that I bought them. A compulsion for shopping on impulse to get the next shiny new thing that is definitely going to complete my wardrobe. Except that the brand new shiny thing never did complete my wardrobe. When I bought each of these things, it was because I had seen them on accounts that I follow on Instagram, both the actual brand's main account on Instagram and also influencers that either partner with the brand or just like wear the dresses a lot. I was basically being stalked by these online, which sounds like I'm blaming the dresses, which I'm not. I really like them. Obviously, I wouldn't have bought them. The algorithm knew that I liked them and kept on showing me more and more people wearing these dresses. And I kept seeing different versions of the same dress on the same people all of the time. And so what that meant over time was that it became very normalized to me that a person would have multiple versions of the same dress in different colors simply because it looked cute. And this is also all part of that fashion industry concept that you should be getting something new every single time that you go out, as if wearing the same thing twice to meet the same group of people again would be like a fashion faux pas, or that you're not paying proper testament to the specialness of the event if you're not getting new clothes. And even though it had a pretty steep price tag, it felt justified because I was seeing people on my social media feed all of the time, people that I considered peers, that I looked up to, that I admired, or even friends as well, wearing these dresses. So it felt normal to spend that amount of money on fashion purchases, even if they were similar to stuff that I already had. So what I'm trying to explain here is that I was a person who rarely thought through a purchase before I made it. I never actually went into debt in order to afford new things. And that in many ways sort of made me feel more justified because I wasn't going into the red. I spent money that was available in my account on stuff that I wanted in the moment. I would pay for my essentials first, my bills and food, and then as the course of the month went on, I would see things that I wanted to buy either on email or on social media or in lifestyle sections of newspaper websites. And because I was seeing this stuff all of the time, it felt perfectly normal to want this stuff and to go out and get it for myself as well. Clothes were the number one thing that I spent my money on, but I also spent quite a lot on interior decor stuff for the house as well. And this would just be done on the spur of the moment. I would see the thing, I would check my bank balance, and then I would buy the thing. And I would only stop doing this when I saw that my bank balance was getting low. What I was left with was no money to put into savings and a lot of stuff that I didn't actually need. No single purchase was ever enough to maintain the dopamine rush of getting a new thing. And it was never enough to make me finally think I don't need anything else new. There was always a next thing, even if it was very similar to the last thing. I convinced myself that so many of these things were needs. Like I had a big night out coming out, so I needed a new dress for that. Or I needed a new pair of trainers because these ones were in slightly different color to the 3 other pairs that I already owned. And let's be honest, spending money feels great and receiving new stuff in the post feels great. It feels like you're doing something fun. But finally, I took a really long, hard look at my financial situation. I had nothing saved. I couldn't cover emergencies such as a repair bill for my car. And it was so frustrating, feeling like I was stuck in a cycle of living paycheck to paycheck and feeling like I would never be able to pay for the big things that I really wanted, like a particular holiday that I wanted us to take as a family or a brand new kitchen for the house. I took a big step back and looked at the stuff that I had bought. The money that I used to have that was now represented by these 4 incredibly similar dresses. And I just thought to myself, something has to change in my spending habits and my mindset about money. For me, a huge part of fixing my finances was about changing that relationship that I had with money. The rejection of that idea that excess consumerism can ever get you a happy, healthy life, or that the next purchase can ever be enough. It won't be. Here are the steps that I went through to make this change. First of all, I really want to highlight that I said excess consumerism. Not consumerism is the issue here. There is nothing wrong with buying yourself something just because you want it. But what I had to do was embrace what really matters to me. And it's not 4 versions of exactly the same dress. What I started to do was practice mindful spending. So I would ask myself some really key questions. Do I actually need it? Do I have something similar already in my wardrobe? And can I actually afford it? For me, I never actually went into debt with my shopping habit, thank goodness. However, I didn't have money saved for emergencies or for future big purchases that I wanted to make, my life goals. It's absolutely fine to allocate some money towards fun spending, but if you're spending all of your money on just mindless stuff that isn't really satisfying you, then something is going wrong with your spending habits. I'm in no way advocating a swing to the opposite extreme to excess consumerism, where you'd be too terrified to spend your money on stuff that you really love and enjoy. Money should be used as a tool in your life in order to help you do the things that you really love. Following on from that, I think it's really important to always ask yourself, why do you want what you want? Is it because someone else has it, because it's representative of a person that you want to be, or because it will actually bring value to your life? Companies today keep on reinventing the wheel because they have to in order to keep profits up. That means that a lot of the stuff that you buy today is simply a newer and or more expensive version of something that you already own. A smartphone would be a really, really good example of that, or a brand new TV. Last year, everyone was rushing out to get an air fryer. This year, it's all about the halogen oven. Everyone has light switches in their homes, but now we have companies trying to sell us products that mean that we can switch the lights off and on without even getting up from our seat. Before you invest your hard-earned money into a new thing, it is really worth asking yourself why it is that you want it. Is it genuinely something that you need? Will it add value to your life? And yes, by the way, sometimes a want can add value. Let's go back to the steak for a prime example. I don't need to have a steak at the weekend, but sometimes it's really, really nice to treat myself. Or is the thing trying to solve a problem for you that you don't actually have? Another thing that was really important for me in having this mindset shift was avoiding aspiration creep. We're often told about lifestyle creep, where as our salary increases, so too does our spending. So we get a bigger house, we get a better car, we go away on better holidays or more holidays. But I think we can also face a battle with aspiration creep. This is where your lifestyle envy of other people's lives means that you are constantly upscaling your lifestyle norms. Owning designer luxury brands is no longer just for the rich, because we're seeing normal people, or seemingly normal people, on social media owning them and flaunting them every time we go on our phone. And so we no longer see it as something that's just for the rich. It's something that we need to have as well in order to keep up with the people around us. And look, it is really hard not to look at our family, friends, and co-workers and not envy what they have when we perceive that they have more or better things than us. The thing is, there will always be someone that you know who will be richer than you, have a bigger house than you, and from the outside at least, maybe you perceive that they have a better lifestyle than you do. The key thing here is to focus in on what matters to you and what you yourself value. What really matters to you is not necessarily going to be a carbon copy of the people around you. And when you really take a big step back and look at it, the stuff that you accumulate through buying in order to keep up with the Joneses is very, very rarely going to be on your list of the things that really, really matter to you. I've talked a lot in this video about shifting your mindset, but here's something practical that you can do. A really, really effective way of breaking the cycle of mindless spending is to have a no spend month. Obviously, you're still going to spend on the stuff that you really need, like groceries and fuel and all your essential bills, but you won't buy any new stuff that is not essential, and you'll try to avoid going out as much as possible, zero in on what free fun you can have. Getting through a whole month can be really, really challenging. In my experience, the second week tends to be the hardest because in the first week you're all fired up. Second week, it starts to feel incredibly boring. By the third and the fourth, when you can see that you're actually making progress and the finish line is in sight, then it starts to feel a little bit more downhill. Try and stay the course. And if you're ever tempted to spend, then have a little route around what you already have. It's always really surprised me what I can do with stuff when I'm forced to reuse and repurpose what I already have. Like for example, with skincare products, I think over time we can end up accruing with skincare and with makeup, just lots of like half empty bottles. So tell yourself that you're going to finish up some of those half empties that you've got before you go out and buy anything new to replace it. This process can be really eye-opening, but it doesn't mean that you'll continue the no spend challenge forever. It just means that you can break the habit of the mindless spending, and it makes you a little bit more thoughtful when you do go to purchase something new, and it helps you zero in on the stuff that really, really matters to you so that you can use your money as a tool to get you the things that you really want rather than being controlled by mindless impulse purchases. Thank you so much for watching this video all the way to the end. I want to know if you guys have ever struggled with impulse purchases and consumerism. What kind of things have you done that have helped you to break the cycle? And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more from me.